So, Napheesa Collier talked about Caitlin Clark's money, and I had not read this, and somebody DM'd it to me. Well, it was the whole article was DM'd to me by one of the many people. Again, I don't know if this person wants their name to be said, so if you are watching this video, DM me, and I will shout you out next time. But yeah, this is an article from Grant Young on Sports Illustrated. And obviously, Sports Illustrated. Robin Lundberg has been writing for Sports Illustrated, is kind of one of their main WNBA writers. And then you've got as well, I think Rosalina was writing for him. Not sure if she still is. But now the 2025 season is in its rearview mirror. But we just want to talk about exactly what Fee Collier said here. So, Collier took her sentiment about Clark's WNBA pay one step further in speaking to Glamour magazine for a feature story. We're being so grossly almost taken advantage of. It should be illegal. The amount of money that Caitlin Clark has made the league is insane. She's getting 0% of it because we have no rev share. She has less than $80,000 a year and she's bringing in like hundreds of millions of dollars. It's insane. Unpopular opinion, even if they got a rev share, she would be making no money. I'm going to be honest. Being like Caitlin Clark she's getting 0% of it. Caitlin Clark would be still getting a number that rounds to 0%. Even if they had a rev split. In fact, if there was, I'm not joking when I say this, but Dewana Bonner would be making more money from any sort of rev split than Caitlin Clark. Marina Mabrey will be making 4 times more money in any rev split than Caitlin Clark. More than likely, if it's salary based. Or if it's equally split, let's just say, hypothetically, the players in their rev split get the most that they can realistically get is 20%. 50% of the WNBA revenue that the league has. Let's just say 20% is the most they get. That 20% is then split between like 200 players. What will be 200 players in the next year? So that means like every team basically gets less than 1%. Like, it is going to be something that will round down to 0%, pretty much. She will still be getting 0% of money. Even if they got a revenue split, she'd be getting... I understand the sentiment. But even if they got a revenue split, she'd be getting 0% of the money. Like, it's like if Caitlin Clark could bring $100 million to the WNBA, and if they had a revenue split, every single player would be entitled to equal amount of money. Like... I don't understand. Like, I get why you're bringing up Caitlin Clark's name fee. Like, it is to show that the players are earning absolutely nothing from the money that she's bringing in, which she is. And I get the sentiment, but, like, she still gets 0%. She still gets a, like, 0% of that. And ironically, like, should Caitlin Clark get a cut of the league revenue? Absolutely. Should Fee get a cut of the league revenue? Yeah. Like, I agree. I mean that. Napheesa Collier, we saw with those All-Star votes. Napheesa Collier is an extremely popular player. And, like, it's funny with some of these things, because I do think Napheesa Collier has a bit of an ulterior motive with these negotiations. And I do think the players are using their leverage and in ways they can. But, like, I don't think Napheesa Collier is a bad person. Jesus. Like, Napheesa Collier is absolutely, like, is a hard person in general to dislike. Like, I think when these CBA negotiations end, you will probably never hear me criticize Napheesa Collier again. Because Napheesa Collier is legitimately a good person. But I don't know. I don't know what's there to be accomplished by this. Players online continue to receive backlash for calling for a higher share in revenue, or they feel like our safer working conditions, such as more rest time between games on opposition coasts. I can never understand regular fans taking ownership side. But, like, there has to be alternatives. And it's like, okay, cool. So it's like they want to play less games and make more money. They already don't really play back-to-backs. Like, if they play less games, the TV stuff isn't there. And I actually agree that they probably play too many games in too short a time. But that's mostly because they play in the off-season. Like, they have this off-season for games, and it's a tough thing to always look at, because obviously it says here the league's revenues, like they have a certain revenue split, but they don't have the certain revenue split unless they hit a certain targets, and they don't know if they're hitting the targets. Like it's such a tough one because there's always there is the line when it's a lot of people are like, oh, pay the players what they deserve. It's like you can't. It's hard to even quantify paying the players what they deserve, because if you pay the players what they deserve, Caitlin Clark would be worth, based on the whole health of the league, $100 million. Angel Reese would be worth $5 million. Paige Bueckers would be worth $5 million. Napheesa Collier would be worth probably $5 or $6 million. But then there are players that would not be worth anything. And that's the problem is like, it's impossible to play players what they're worth in a salary cap league. Because a salary cap league, everything, it needs to be, like, it needs to be a case where in a salary cap league, it's always going to be a case where some people are going to be overpaid and others are going to be drastically underpaid. That's the problem with salary cap leagues in America. People don't get paid what they're worth, and it's an impossibility to get people to pay what they're worth unless you just get rid of the salary cap. That is the only way to get players to play paid what they're worth, because someone has to determine their worth. Somebody has to determine their worth. You don't go in on a rookie scale deal. A team wants to pay you what a team wants to pay you. And an owner determines what your worth is for that organization. That's the only way a player can get paid what they're actually worth. And the problem is with these leagues is that there is that line between, when it comes to giving a revenue percentage for these players, where there is that line where it's like, could they fuck up the league long term by giving too much of a percentage away when the league only owns a certain amount of equity? And that's one of the things you always have to look at. Is like, are they screwing over the players? Are they not screwing over the players? Are they kind of fucked because of how many years they were bankrolled by the NBA, by other people, like by other entities and investors, and that those investors are like, we're not just going to bankroll this league anymore. We need to start making money from this, and that's fucked up the league. Could it be a case where Napheesa Collier and her unrivaled, where the league needs to separate, where women's basketball needs to separate from the WNBA in order for the players to get paid really what they're worth? And Napheesa Collier's unrivaled league is that? I would say yes, if the league was 5v5. Like, you guys don't understand how much more pro unrivaled that would be if the league was 5v5. I watched that gimmick ball. It was unwatchable. I tried to like it. I love what Napheesa Collier and Stewie have done with that league. I have to say, but like, it was unwatchable. It was absolutely unwatchable. And I just feel like it's another situation of Fee trying to bring up Caitlin Clark. Fee plugging Caitlin's name. And like, I think she's absolutely right in this. But it's like, why is it that it has Caitlin, you have to, this whole league and everyone has to diminish Caitlin Clark for years. For years. But then as soon as it's beneficial for them to use Caitlin Clark in their argument, suddenly Caitlin Clark's name is being name dropped everywhere. And even as Stephanie White said, you could see what Stephanie White alluded to. She wasn't happy. Like, you could tell, being like, oh, Caitlin Clark, right after the fee thing, you know, it's like her name is being used to push all these agendas. And then Caitlin Clark just refused to answer when she was asked about fee name dropping her. Like, all of these situations, you know for a fact that her name is brought up again without her knowledge. And her agent, and they share the same agent. Like, you know it's been brought up without her knowledge. But like, it's just not. It just seems like it seems like they're just using Caitlin Clark as a pawn in their quest to get more money. And you know what? Like, fair enough. If you are a union representative, your job is to, which Fee is, your job is to get the most money as possible. That is what your job is. So look, we can have problems with it, but to say if we were in her position we wouldn't do the same is, I'm being honest, I think most of us would do the same. I think it's probably the fans look at it in a worse way because of all the anti-Caitlin Clark stuff from the WNBPA, the bullshit investigation that they basically claimed as fact, the we call BS thing where they leaked her her Rookie of the Year award. So there is that thing where it's like, I don't even know if Caitlin Clark herself, and then it was even the Kelsey Plum being like, oh, your team never showed up to Team Clark never showed up to the meeting about the pay us what you owe us t-shirts. Like, it's just a weird thing all around. But anyway, yeah, I'll see you guys.